We're here live at the Lagos Court of Arbitration for the Judicial Panel of SARS-related cases and also Lekki Shootings. And it's been going on for a long time coming. And today we are hoping to hear from the LCC MD, who we hope will give us some information of what happened on 20th, 10th of 2020, that's October. We're hoping to hear more from him today. Join us as we follow with the proceedings.
Okay, so sorry, let me just clarify. Yeah. If I'm right, tell me. Maybe I'm trying to say it in English and in pidgin for you. So in English, what you're trying to say is that when they beat you because of how they stripped you naked, people that came to torture other people saw you too and started beating you. So those who no concern with your case follow beat you. Okay, that's
even among that as the thing there, maybe one of them bring that person and ask those people who bring me, when I made them fire me, no, they say no, maybe for now, maybe now. You know, I say they give me for some this evening time. This kind, anything wey go bring me for public, I know they like that. The only thing is say this one pass. If my minor sin, no be this one. I think just this one.
The time they were beating you, were they saying anything? The police?
The only the say person, intelligence report is on me.
Intelligence report?
About what?
They don't tell me. Intelligence report is
since 2009.
They call the guy on phone. And if not that I flash my phone. I get some of this thing. But the one who I gave now, where is like the answer. When they give me my money, when they give me my money, they take say, after I say, should be as soon as they don't say no, they are Abuja. I said, should be as soon as.
They should continue from torturing yourself.
As they carry me when they join me to us, I go who handcuff me from that. They handcuff who then chill from my leg.
Okay, thank you. What do you want the panel to say?
So they give you, I buy the complete compassionate.
Who owns the buildings where the shop is?
Plaza.
It's a plaza.
Yeah.
And it's a two-story building.
Yeah.
So it's not a residential area. It's not where people are staying and sleeping. It's a plaza.
Plaza.
How long have you been there?
More than 15 years.
15 years. Now you have 3 shops. There's no way you can stay in the 3 shops at the same time. You have 3 shops where you are selling things.
Yeah.
So you can't be in one shop and be selling, and be in the other shop and be selling, and be in the third shop and be selling. So you can't be the only person who's your only partner. Because that's the question that my fellow parents, look, listen to me. That is the question that my fellow parents asked you. Do you have people who are working with you, who are joining you in the business of selling goods up to about 80 million? So you have boys who are working with you. Thank you. Now, please, I'd like to ask you, please bear with me, because you must convince us that the story is correct, so that we can make it believable. And the other question I would like to ask you, in respect of the story that you have narrated, you have stayed in that place for 15 years, and police brought you in the night, demolished your shop in the night, and started auctioning your goods. at night in the plaza where you have stayed 15 years and you had neighbors. So it was your neighbors or street people who were buying the goods? You said police brought you from their station and started using hammer to break your shop and started bringing out your things, and they were auctioning them and selling them at night. So the question I'm asking you is this. In a plaza of a 2-story building, where you are on the ground floor, before they now took you to the last, second floor, having broken your shop, who are they selling your things to? Is it your fellow traders in the plaza or men on the street?
I don't know. They don't really see those people. As I dey shout, they know them. That's why I say they keep me busy. So they don't let me know, observe those people.
In the plaza, do you have market union?
Guys,
Association. Okay, so throughout the period that they took you from the shop on the 16th till the 17th, in the afternoon, in the midst of people, nobody came to look for you, nobody came to inquire?
Nobody.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, quick. You mentioned that when the policemen came for you on the 16th, your neighbors, other people that were selling markets, they came around and you were asking them why they were there. But the shots gone and all of them scattered and tear gas. Now, the second day when they brought you back to be selling your goods, your other neighbors, did they come around again?
Since the people don't observe, say, they don't make sure, you know, say, they powerful. And they don't hear, sir. If you say the plaza self, maybe within 1 week itself, nobody will be able to. They close the time because of that incident.
Yeah, but you said people came around to be buying goods from the SARS men. So they are selling it, and your neighbors that came around initially to help you on the first day. So where are they? Did you know if any of them, if they were still around when your goods were being auctioned?
I don't know those people. I don't know those people. They don't already plan. I don't know them for one. They don't let me see their face. I don't know those people. I don't talk something.
I'm talking about your neighbors. You are not the only one selling in the plaza.
No, but I'm the only one selling those accessories.
I know. But you have some of your friends, your fellow marketsmen that came that day when you on the 16th, before they scatter when they heard gunshots. Now that they brought you back on the second day, well, of course they still have their shops there, and you said that sometimes you close by 10. No. So some of them will still be around. 7. Okay, by the time they brought you back, are they still around? Are still some of your shops still open? They know. Your shop, the other people's shop.
All those people shop, they don't go.
All of them don't go. So that's when they now open your shop and started selling. They broke it. So those people that are now coming to buy at that time, is it that when they know that the place by that time was having closed? And where did they come from? Can you identify any of them? What you're trying to see if you have witnesses around that witness.
I'll come to problem, I'll come to I don't see anybody of them. They don't just come back. You know, based on the route and everything. With I told them, I know it says all this one where they listen this song to that. I don't know that person, I don't recognize these people. Nothing but the truth. Maybe that person gave me some understanding or maybe I can say so person. And then I'm not going to I don't be like that. I don't recognize people.
Okay, let me quickly ask this question. Were you shown any cipher? Were you shown any document?
No.
Did you sign any document?
No. I'm not sure what this is doing something like that.
Patient's card of Ekwekwe Ondukwe. Number 702133, appointment card, if admitted and marked Exhibit B. Loop Initiatives Limited, hospital bill for 50,000 naira, is admitted and marked Exhibit C. With surgery list, attached and marked Exhibit C1. List of phone numbers of police officers Cletus Okonwa and Sergeant Are A is admitted and marked Exhibit C2. Picture of the petitioner with a bandage on his head lying down is marked and is admitted and marked Exhibit D. I just want to evidence. I'm only sorting out the evidence. Police College Hospital French X-ray front of Ondukwe E made on 19th day of February 2018 is hereby admitted and marked Exhibit E. Further hearing in this petition must be adjourned.
That's why the lawyer didn't show up. If there's some matters you have, you don't want to come on the line and say this kind of thing. We should have framed it. It's police. He dropped names and numbers. That's what police do. It's police.
must adjourn this case today. It is not the only one we have for the day. So the case is adjourned to 13th November 2020. We will hear your mother in the course of the proceedings. Will you explain to you because it doesn't seem to understand?
13 November. So that you can come back and give your own evidence. Not next week, that's 13 November. 2 weeks time.
It is not the only case we have for today. There are other matters that must also be.
The reason being that it's not the only case we have for today, so that we can attend to other matters.
I'm afraid the panel will rise very briefly.
What's your name, sir? Just again for the record. Now tell exactly why you have decided to come before the tribunal to make your claims then. Okay. Tell us exactly what happened, sir.
Come my shop on February 16, 2018. They arrest me. On the way to this, now ask them what made them call carry me from, what made them call arrest me. Then they said the order from IG. They reached from near the.
Now, just tell us what's your experience during the time you were arrested and up to now. What has been your experience?
Big pain, I put me on wheelchair.
Now, what do you want the tribunal to do for you?
I want them to compensate me
and give justice.
And check whether if maybe doctor will feel receive this thing well, whether I will feel work again.
Okay, I mean,
just only 2 days.
Only 2 days.
Okay, I mean, just tell us how they take through you from that upstairs. Because we don't hear your head inside.
As they break my warehouse, sold my market. Now they try to raise alarm, make people come still waiting. Now the big arms are running. 9 other men made them keep me busy. As they push me go up, from there they push me up from that 2-story building.
You mentioned one
Now be the person where need them come, the IPO. Hamza Aruna.
Just Haruna, I don't know your other
Hamza Aruna.
Then leave you for ground there or carry
They carry me go dump me for one hospital.
You know the name of the hospital?
Police Courage.
Police Courage for Kesha. Okay, so what's going on? They treat you as a
They just keep me now. From there, my mom dressed me. Can't carry me go to Igbobi. They reject me. Before they transfer me go to Roots.
Okay, your market association, all the time we lost, I'm saying I'll get association. Okay, it's okay.
What year was this?
Welcome back. We are still at the Lagos State Judicial Panel on restitution for.
I'm AJ Owunikoko. My respectful appearances for the government of Lagos State. And I have with me my learned colleagues. IJ Owunikoko is correct. Why dragging ball? Almost good.
I did indicate at the last sitting of the panel that the panel has been charged with the responsibility to investigate the incident at the Lekki toll gate on 20th October 2020 and make necessary findings and recommendations. It is in that behalf and in furtherance of the term of reference that we have invited the MD of the LCC, who did not give his testimony at the last sitting. He said he needed time to brief the counsel of his choice. The counsel is here with us, and I expect that he would open his testimony this morning.
Yes, ma'am. You know, I don't know if I could ask the witness introductory questions before entering the relevant documents and ending in the evidence. Please, can you tell the Honorable Tribunal your full names?
My name is Abayomi Omomuwasa. I work for Lekki Concession Company.
You have to talk slowly so that you can be recorded.
Okay.
Yes.
I go right again. My name is Abayomi Omomuwasa. I work for Lekki Concession Company as the managing director.
Now, what is the connection between Lekki, your company, and the Lekki Toll Plaza?
The Lekki Concession Company is the operator. Is the operator of Lekki Concession Company is the operator of Lekki toll gates and other toll plazas, such as Lekki Ikoyi Bridge. That is the connection.
Subpoena was served on your office by this tribe to produce relevant documents and footage of the incident of 20th of October 2020.
Yes. And we have the footage, the video footage here.
Now, I will please register, pass on the documents to the witness. Can you please take a look at the footage and then the other documents and confirm and identify them one by one?
I can confirm that inside here is the footage, the video footage that our surveillance camera was able to record for the 20th of October 2020. I also confirm that we have some other documents here that are coming from our company, Lekki Concession Company. This is one of them. This is the press release that we did when we had information on the social media that we were planning to bring in SARS-men in police uniform to attack the protesters. We went on the press to say we had no such plan. This is a copy. I can also confirm this is coming from us as well. This is the communication that we released to all the staff on the date, that 20th, when Mr. Governor declared curfew. Okay, I can also confirm this as the information that I said earlier, where they said the MD of Lekki Concession Company and his CSO are planning to attack the protester. All these are some of the pictures of the fact that when, at the point in time, the protester, we noticed that we're actually vandalizing, removing, and taking away some of our equipment.
So those are the pictures of some of the items that were removed, which you subsequently recovered.
Yes.
Lord, I seek to tender the footage and all the documents that accompany it.
We have no objection, as this is in obedience to the subpoena issued from the witness. We will stand to be guided about how the footage is brought properly into evidence by the panel. So we take it as evidence, as document brought, but when we see whether the content agrees with in terms of the footage, whether it will be made
So,
and MC.
in effect, you would rather have the footage in the well of the court.
For now, yes. And then the tribunal, the panel will then direct how we access the content. But we all have a bit to assist the tribunal. We don't want to raise any technical issue there.
It will be admitted as being in the word of the court. Later on, it will then, you will then make a stand of whether
We are much obliged. We are guided.
objective.
We are guided.
Very well. LCC press release dated 21st October 2020 is hereby admitted and marked Exhibit A. Email from Teresa Bolaji to Yomi at gmail.com in restate curfew is admitted and marked Exhibit B. Mail from Maurice Monnier on 11th October 2020 in SARS must end, SARS out is hereby admitted and marked Exhibit C. Pictures of equipment vandalized recovered from hoodlums during the protest is admitted and marked Exhibit D. Yes.
Now, Mr. Omongo, before the date of this incident, can you tell the tribunal the different types of camera your company had at the Lekki Plaza? The type, the positioning, and the function of each type of camera that you had.
Thank you. Because we operate an electronic tolling system, we have different types of devices, but in particular,
so that you can be recorded.
Sorry,
Yes.
because we operate in an electronic tolling system, we power it with different devices. Two major categories of these are these cameras that we mentioned now. The first one is the automatic plate number recognition. Automatic plate number recognition. The function of this is to capture, identify and capture and record the identity of the vehicle as they make a passage across the plaza. This camera, as I said, functions by recognizing the vehicle through the plate number. It also helps us to also classify it. When I mean classify it, whether it be a Jeep or it's an ordinary car. And the location of this camera is the location.
Slow down so that you can be recorded.
Yes.
And the position of this camera is like an eye view, eye level, around the eyes. It's not too tall up there, not too high up there. Reason being that it can capture the object, that is the vehicle, the cars as they pass. That's why it's not too high up there. That's the first category of the camera that I'll talk about. The second one is the surveillance camera. This one is surveillance camera. It is, we call it PTZ. The P there, PTZ, we call it PTZ. P for Paul, T for tall, and Z for zona. The P there is to enable you to pan, to just move around. The T there is to enable you to teeth. It can go this way, it can go this way. It tilts. While the Z there, the Z, it allows the camera to zoom. PTZ. And that is the second major category of camera that we have. The position of this, like we went there, I showed it to the panel when we visited, is just up high there. As at the time we went there, it was still there. And to the best of my knowledge, this morning, at this moment, it is still there. It's hosted on a mast.
Yeah.
Now, before the incident of 20th of October, did your company remove any category of camera at the toll plaza? And then tell the tribunal which category of camera was removed by your company.
Thank you. On the 20th, early in the early hour of the 20th, come with two specific numbers, around 10 o'clock. When we noticed, when we observed, like I have tendered earlier, that they had decided that they have started, pilfering and tampering with our equipment. So we then decided to harvest, to proactively harvest the equipment that we can, because they are very expensive. All those equipment that we talk about were bought in dollar, not from local contractors or manufacturers. They are all foreign. Our mind was to find a way to safeguard and keep as much as we can. Yes, around that early hour of the day, we did remove the type that I talked about earlier, the automatic plate number recognition. That's the one we try to remove, plus some other items like laptop, computer systems, and so on.
It then follows from your answer that at no time was the surveillance camera removed or tampered with by your company from its position.
I can confirm that categorically, that we never, ever tamper with that surveillance camera. And as we probably will see in the footage, that's why the footage, we can still get the footage. It remained there until about some time later in the day, around 8 o'clock, when it was tampered with and we couldn't get any network anymore. Excuse me. What I mean is that we are talking about recording on footage.
We will come to
Until 8 p.m. Until around 8 p.m. I'm talking about the physical camera, as we saw it that day, is still there. What around and after 8 o'clock, it stopped recording.
Government magic.
Now, can you tell the tribunal what was responsible for the stoppage of the recording of the surveillance camera at about 8 p.m.?
The major cause is because the system, the network, the way it is that we have the network. The network is the one that connects the various cameras together. As of today, we have 3 of them. We have one camera at the plaza that we have at Sanfield. We have the second camera on the Ikoyi Bridge. We have the third camera, the same camera, the surveillance camera, at the Chevron office. The server itself, that is where the database resides, is located at the Chevron office. Reason we can even get anything. But the network, what brings all the cameras together to communicate together, is resident or was resident there at the Ikoyi office, which has been gone.
The Ikoyi Plaza.
Ikoyi Plaza, Ikoyi Bridge.
Now, what is the source of power supply to the Lekki Toll Plaza?
Essentially, we have independent power project source. The one that is located, we have the IPP. IPP means independent power project. That power is supplied from somewhere around Lekki Phase 1. That's the major source. Then we also have our own generators. Where there's no power from IPP, we switch on our generators. Then we have this one that we can use to do a stopgap. That's our UPS, because the tolling system can never stop having power. So between when we are moving from one source of power to another one, the UPS will be on. These are the major ways we power the equipment in the class. The IPP, the generator, and on a small scale, the UPS.
Now, what happened to the operation of the generators at the toll plaza on the evening of the day of the incident?
Consequent upon the declaration of the curfew, and we got information, and as a responsible company that cares for the safety of our staff, we also issued a communication that everybody should comply with the announcement. So we sent communication out to all staff to go, and everybody left. So, including those that were supposed to be in charge of the generator, because everybody had to go.
Now, the initial announcement of curfew, before you asked all the staff to leave, was to start from what time? The curfew was initially announced by Lagos State government.
We had 4 o'clock p.m. 4 p.m.
Now, on both sides of the toll plaza, there are advertisement billboards.
Yes.
Yes. Who is in charge or who is responsible for the management of the advertisement billboards?
Now, the sources of revenue to LCC are coming from major
LCC.
Lekki Concession Company.
Yes.
Our major sources of revenue are: 1, from tolling revenue. That's the vehicle that are passing on and collecting money. The second major one is the adverts that we do on the road. As part of our strategy to maximize this, what management did was to give this out to private advertising agencies. One of them, because we have many of them, one of them is the owner of the one on the top of the plaza.
And
so it is not directly managed by Lekki Concession Company.
Now, is your company in any way involved in powering or supplying power to those advertisement signage?
Not at all, sir. They are fully independent.
Now, did you or any of your staff physically witness the events at the Lagos in the Lekki Toll Plaza on the 20th, in the evening of the 20th of October 2020?
Physically, no. All that we can say today is relying on the footage, the camera, the video footage that we have. And if given the opportunity, I can explain that background, why we're not physically present.
You can explain.
Why we were not at this environment at all, particularly on that day, was the prior days had seen a progressive taking over of that environment. It started early in the month when being taken over by the protesters. It started when, at the beginning, we saw a group of people with the inscriptions boldly written, NSAS. What they were looking for, or what they were doing on that particular day, was to have a passage through the plaza from one side of the Lekki Phase 1 to the Oniru Junction. And we did oblige. We allowed them to make that passage. But progressively, as we count the one, the two, the movement started to cluster around the plaza area. At the point, we're now beginning to have issue where they were now beginning to occupy.
Slow down.
So progressively, we notice the movement and the position of the protester now remaining around the plaza area on both sides. That is, on the side of Lekki Phase 1, if you are going towards Lekki Phase 1, and on the side of Oriental or Oniru Junction. At a particular time, they are now beginning to go into the booth area. The booth area is the cubicle where we have our people sitting down to walk. At that point, we had to withdraw the people because it was just impossible for us to walk to a place. In any case, at that time also they had also blocked the two sides of the road. No vehicle could pass. So at the point also, there was a social media report wherein they allege that we were trying to bring police to come and harass them. So we tried all we could to avoid any form of confrontation. So we had to withdraw people out of the area. Up to a point, we now, towards the end, maybe around 1918, I'm not sure the date now, but towards a weekend where we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that preceded that 20th, we saw a lot of activity. At that point, it was just not possible for us to be around like that. So we had to move away from there. I was not there at all because I had been harassed to say that I had been trying to bring in the police. They gave out my number to everybody. They were calling me, abusing me and cursing me. So for me, the best way is to stay out of the environment completely. That's what we did.
Hello, that's all for the witness.
Thank you, my Lord.
Sir, Lekki Construction Company, can you tell the panel who owns it?
As of today, it is owned 100% by the government of Lagos State.
Thank you very much. Now, the Toll Plaza area, on a normal day, is it open for ingress and egress by everybody, no restriction? Are other people allowed to just walk around and stay within that Toll Plaza area on a normal day, if there was nothing like protest?
No, sir. The only movement you will see will be the movement of vehicles, not human being walking.
How long before 20th of October had you observed people under the SARS protest congregating within the Lekki Plaza? Before that 20th, how many days before that day have you observed them congregating there?
From the 8th of October 2020. 8th of October 2020. I must also say that it's not only the Lekki toll, but just probably we're just restricted. This same thing also happened at the point on the bridge, on the Lekki bridge.
That's for the congregation of protesters?
Yes.
Between the 8th of October and the evening of 20th of October, can you recall any incident between the Lekki Concession Company and the NSAS that involved invitation of security agencies or law enforcement agencies? Before this incident, for the period of 8th of October to 20th, say around 4, were there any incidents that warranted you to engage law enforcement agencies against the protesters?
Not to my knowledge. Because like I said earlier, they came, they stayed, and they were there.
Does Lekki concession maintain armed security apparatus within that complex? Armed security by yourself? Armed?
Yes, in all the 3 locations we have. Because of the nature of our job, we collect cash, we carry cash, we have equipment that are very valuable, so we have what we call dedicated policemen, just for security purpose.
And for the period of 8th of October to 20th, you had no reason to engage the policemen to interface with the protesters?
None at all. None. We never, not for a second, interfere with what they are doing.
Now, you've mentioned the surveillance cameras mounted on your facilities at Lekki, Chevron, and Ikoyi. How many in all are these cameras, the surveillance ones?
There are 3.
And how are they located? Where?
The one at the Sanfield Plaza is located on.
No, don't worry about them for security reasons. Just tell us the location of the 3.
It's that one is located. The one at the Sanfield is located.
I want to know, is there one at Ikoyi, another one at Chevron,
yes.
Another one at...
Yes,
that's what I want to
one at Sanfield, one at Ikoyi Bridge, one at Chevron.
Are these 3 cameras networked in terms of being able to communicate with each other? Are they networked so that there's a control center you can see globally what's happening in the 3 locations? Are they networked? Do they communicate with each other?
Yes. The 3 of them communicate.
Now, where is the command and control center for this camera? CCC.
The command, what we call command.
Out of the 3, don't mention, but just tell us which of the 3 do you have the command and control center. Don't go into details.
Where we have it, right?
Is it at Lekki, at Chevron, or at Ikoyi? The command and control center.
CCC is at Chevron.
Where is the network control center, NCC?
That one is at Ikoyi Bridge.
The surveillance technology deployed by Lekki concession, how modern is it? When was the last upgrade that you did to bring it up to the latest high tech? What year?
To the best of our knowledge, from our IT and from the company that did implement it for us, it's up to date.
It's up to
date.
2020 technology.
I need to be very careful when we say 2020 technology, but it's with the current, is the contemporary technology.
And when you say that, you're talking globally, not just within Nigeria.
No, globally.
Globally, thank you.
It's able, as high as it is, it's able to pick some of those things that we have today. It has that capability of detecting, of identifying the objects, because it can also zoom.
Now, what is the radius of this surveillance camera? How far away from its location can he capture images and record
Yeah, it can go as far as between 1.75 kilometers and 2 kilometers.
Good. On either side?
On each of the regions, any side. It can go that far.
Does this camera have audio capacity, apart from visual? Will we be able to hear sound of what is recording, or is it simply to record the visual images?
I'm afraid to say ours, we did not activate that audio functionality. And I can tell you why.
Please, go ahead.
We essentially we deploy the camera, surveillance camera, for the control and management of traffic, not human stuff or things like that. Our own is to be able to look at our traffic on a second-by-second basis, and the main purpose, our main purpose, is traffic management. And we believe that just seeing the images is sufficient for us. That's why we didn't bother to activate the cameras.
Can you, to put life to this testimony, give us an example of what you can use that for? In terms of traffic management, what does it assist you to do?
Okay. I can be in this location now, because we also have it on our phone and private devices like iPad and others. Instead of me running from one location to another one, I will look at it and I will know if this traffic is coming from Oluwalobo, which is as far as Chevron, or is coming from Jakunde, or is coming from whatever spot. And that enables us to deploy people to go and sort it out. That's what the camera is for.
Now, I noticed that sometimes you have free passage. You allow us to just drive through without paying.
That is the outcome of that observation. If we look at the volume from our control room, if we look at the volume of traffic that we have, and we know that there is a certain number that the plaza can process per minute per second, we do an estimate and say we cannot afford this one until we get a level. This camera enables us to make this kind of objective decision.
Now, please, can I have the exhibit standard? Not the camera, the footage. Just look at it. There are 1 or 2 minutes. Show witness exhibit C. Let him confirm this one. Yeah, you tendered that document.
I did.
Now, if the panel may so permit, confirm the date that that conversation, that message was recorded in your system. What date was that?
It was on the 11th of October.
11th of, as at that date, postmasters had started gathering at your premises.
They started on the 8th.
On the 8th. Now, please, can you read the message there?
Sir, the MD of LCC, in brackets, Lekki Toll Gate, just called his CSO, a former SAS boss, and with the instruction of the government, they are bringing SAS, in brackets, in police uniform, an RRS to harass protesters on Lekki toll gate tomorrow. Because of the traffic they caused today, I can't tweet this on my page because I work there. And please hide my identity. Let everyone stay safe.
Thank you. Now, that was on the 11th.
Yes.
To start with, do you have a SARS security officer in your company?
We do not.
Or retired or former?
We do not.
Secondly, after the 11th, when this message was circulated, was there any incident of police or armed persons showing up at your facility, either at Lekki or Sheba, up until 20th?
Not to my knowledge, sir. Not to my knowledge. I don't know.
Now,
there's none.
can you look at Exhibit B? Thank you. And as at 4 o'clock, you had exited the facilities.
Before 4 o'clock, yes.
The personnel whose duty it will have been to go and switch on the lighting system must also have left based on your instruction in Exhibit C by 4 o'clock.
Everybody was asked to go. No exception.
And so, at your departure at 4 o'clock, in whose hands did you leave the security and protection of the asset of Lekki? Was it in the hands of government that said you should go, or some private company? Who did you expect to protect your assets, since government said you should vacate the property after 4 o'clock? Who did you expect was going to be responsible to protect your assets?
It was a helpless situation. We just have to think about safety first. At that point, nobody.
Now, you expected that those who have to vacate your facility were in control of the law enforcement powers, and they should be able to give you protection.
That's what we believe. Because at that point it was beyond our power.
Thank you. Has it come to your knowledge that it's been alleged that Lekki Concession Company switch off the lighting system in the facility as at the time of this incident, and you actually switch off the lighting system? Have you heard that kind of allegation being made against Lekki Concession?
Yes.
How do you react to that?
And at the point we issue a press statement, it's part of what we tender. That we never switch off anything. We did the press conference.
Now please have a look at Exhibit A. Is that the press statement you refer to that you issue?
Yes, sir.
Please, with your permission, can you please read out the relevant portion that talks about?
Okay. In all here, I have 7 paragraphs. I will read paragraph 6. LCC receives power from IPP grid. The power, outbuilt, stable, is taken off from time to time. At such times, LCC relies on the backup generator for power supply. However, following the declarations of the country by the state government, LCC withdrew all her staff from the office locations. This is the reason why the light will not be restored when the names from IPP went off temporarily. This can be verified.
Thank you. Now you said so it was not only the Lekki toll gate alone that you vacated.
No.
You also vacated Chevron.
Yes.
As well as the Ikoyi.
Yes.
So as to be in compliance with the curfew order.
Yes.
Now, please assist us. Apart from IPP and your generators, you have this backup UPS.
Yes.
From my understanding, UPS is supposed to automatically come on.
Yes.
If, as you said, there was seizure of IPP power supply,
Yes.
even if you were not there,
Yes.
for some time you will expect the UPS to come on.
It came up.
Oh, it came up already?
Yes.
Thank you.
We will see it on the footage. It came up.
Even though you were not there, the thing came up.
We saw
it was not disabled.
It will see, it will be seen in the footage.
Thank you.
It's automatic.
Did you receive instruction from any security agency, for whatever reason on that day, asking that you should power down your facility or take away cameras in the booths? Did you receive any instruction from any security agency?
No. Not from anyone.
How about your owners, Lagos State government? The Lagos State government, by any means, asked you before you exited at 4 p.m. to switch off power source or remove camera. Were you under that kind of instruction from Lagos State?
No, sir.
Yes, as a government-owned company, your reporting line, direct reporting line, does it go to the governor in terms of what you need to update them about?
No, we have a board.
Thank you. The proactive steps you took to anticipate possible risk of vandalization, destruction, was a management decision. You did not need to get board approval for those kind of things.
No, it's purely a management decision. We just have to review things and we took steps.
Your staff, your employees, direct employees, are they working presently?
No. We're not working.
Everybody's at home.
The one or two of us is because when we received the invitation
From the panel.
we have to bring some people back to help us to, because without power, there's no way we can access. We have to bring some people back to,
Just for that.
just for us to, and maybe at the end of the day, we also want to appeal to allow us to have access so that we can carry out, because we see there's some other things to do.
Access. Okay, now. I remember we went with you to the facility. Are you suggesting to this panel now that from the date of it's on 20th, except for when you went with the panel, you have not had access to that facility?
No.
So it's only by the panels.
We went there together and we will probably today appeal to allow us to access so that we can attend to the insurance and other people that we partner with.
For the period that the protest lasted, you were out of revenue.
Totally. Yes.
Is there any indication as to when you can resume normal functioning service at the Lekki toll gate? You are out there with saw some things. Has that been, for now, a projection of how soon that facility can return to operation?
Any projection made here will just be a guesswork. When we went there that day, I saw the level of destruction there. The whole tolling system is completely out. It takes nothing less than 6 months to get those things back. We need to first of all assess. We need to now go on design. We need to now go on procurement and all. It will not take anything less than 6 months.
Have you retrenched any of your workers for now?
No, sir.
Now you mentioned there are different companies that you concession advertisement license to. Can you mention some of them? Not just one.
We have LOSAT. We have LOSAT. LOSAT is spelled LOATSAD for dog. LOSAT. We have Prodigy. Prodigy Nigeria, yes. Prodigy. We have eye contact, as in the eye that we use to see, eye contact. We also have e-motion. I'll take it again. We have LOSAT, we have Prodigy, we have eye contact, we have e-motion, e-motion. These are all advertising companies in Nigeria.
Yes. Now, have you up to today been able to confirm with identity that is verifiable any fatal casualty from the event of 20th within the complex of Lekki? Have you confirmed a verifiable identity of any person that was a fatal casualty there?
Yes.
You remember on our visit to the locus, to the site, your location, in company of the distinguished panelists, there were some form of observation of strange elements that people attributed to be probably firearms, ammunition, but nobody was able to confirm specifically that anything was either a bullet or a shell casing scientifically. But you observe as we are descending on the floor, some people saw one or two of such materials that suggested something having to do with firearm, expellant, or whatever. But as at now, we don't know what they are.
I don't know.
Do you have any form of training? Do you have any form of training or expertise to function as a forensic scientist or ballistician?
I don't have. I'm an accountant.
Now, Mr. Governor has responded to this incident severally since 20th of October. He has addressed the populace, he has issued certain guidelines and appeals. Do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Governor, knowing that that investment is the investment of Lagos State, all Lagosians, do you have any reason to believe that Mr. Governor ordered armed soldiers to invade that premises and engage unarmed protesters who have been there peacefully for 14 days, 12 days, to be shot at? Do you have any reason up to today to believe that? Just to find out if he has anything. Now, it's okay. At this stage, the only thing left for me is to be reserved until we can give the footage. Thank you.
Wow.
Why would you ban elements are really loud? Are you ballistic? It's bad.
Lawyers are part of the problem in this one.
But evidence of not been able to access
They're asking
whether the tribunal can still have any maybe further visitation to that site, and then maybe plead that they be allowed to go back to be able to take stock of the damage and commence the process of
So my humble request is that if the tribunal does not have any further need to visit the toll plaza, that the Lekki concession limited, subject to the approval of the tribunal, be permitted to take back possession of the toll plaza for purpose of evaluation of the damage and the commencement of the process of carrying out necessary repairs.
Upon the application made by counsel for LCC that the company is granted the permission to resume possession of the toll, Lekki toll, with a view to taking stock of damage done and take necessary steps to make claims to their insurers and make arrangements for repairs. We are of the considered view that those steps are necessary, but we will not grant access just yet. The footage presented in the word of the court must be viewed, and the need may arise for the panel to make another visit. For the said reason, the application is not granted today. It can be revisited after viewing of the footage, and the panel is convinced that it will have no further need for another visit. Are you in this matter?
So we are part of the NBA Amicus Career Observatory team, myself, Luke Collins, and observations that we need is that the questioning, the line of questioning for the MD made us, it raised some concerns on our behalf because it was meant to be an examination in chief and then followed by a cross-examination. The type of questions that were being asked, some of them were leading in our opinion, and so we want to know what's the nature of this particular, what is the nature that this particular inquiry is going to take, because ordinarily there should be a petitioner and a respondent, both of which would be different parties, opposing parties. But in this particular instance, we feel that there is the LCC and the Lagos State government. The LCC is 100% owned by the Lagos State government, like we have the SC said. So we have an issue with that particular arrangement. So we want to ask, is there an independent lawyer that would do a proper cross-examination of the MD of the LCC, or will the MDA will be required to provide assistance in that regard?
I'll probably
Well, if you care to look in terms of reference that this panel is charged with, it says to investigate the incident at the Lekki toll on 20th October 2020 and make necessary findings and recommendations. Anybody that has anything that would assist the investigation is invited to appear before the panel. If the MDA has an interest to cross-examine the people who have given their testimonies on behalf of the Lagos State government, you are free to do so. We are on an investigation here. As many interests, as many people that would assist the panel arrive at a just decision is invited to join at this proceeding. The scope is different from where you have a petitioner complaining about violation of his rights. The respondents are SARS people, they will come here and cross-examine. That is not the scope of this particular term of reference, to investigate. They are here to assist us, furnish us with whatever information they have to enable the panel make findings and recommendations. Anybody who has an interest, please come in and present credible and provable facts to assist the panel discharge the onus on it in terms of that particular term of reference of the panel.
I'm really thankful for the clarification, and it's precisely the question, one of the main questions that I'm asking. The second one is, I believe that in terms of questioning, because in a judicial inquiry, the role of the lawyers is to elicit questions from the witness and not necessarily to direct the witness on how to answer. So I believe in the observatory role, there should be a constant watchdog that would examine what kind of questions are being asked and the kind of questions that should be opposed, so that it can be opposed at the instant and not at a much later date. That is
the panel of inquiry. The rules of evidence as speaking not applicable. So also are there rules of court applicable. We have our own peculiar rules for the proceedings. If you look into the rules for the proceedings, you will find out that the conduct of the proceedings is in accordance with the rules set out in the proceedings. So please take your time to look into the rules of proceedings made pursuant to the Tribunal of Inquiry law. You will see that nothing has been done outside the terms of the law setting of the panel.
If your answer is well received, and my question is answered.
Thank you very much.
Please, so that we clarify position. There is this rule of proceeding issued by the panel, and I can see rule 1D entitling MBA, if they have a grievance, to also submit their presentation. And in the miscellaneous provisions, rule 8, the rules that apply to the anti-SARS petitions are equally applicable to the additional terms of reference. So I believe it is important that those who have issues against LCC or against the state government or whatever one LCC can also submit their grievance either within the LCC's own power of reference. So I believe that even if they don't have grievance, they are one of those recognized that can even participate in cross-examining. I'm not here for LCC. That's how we have to check the difference between LCC as an entity and Lagos State government, even though it's owned by Lagos, it's a separate entity. So I have a right to defend Lagos State's interest as regards what happened at LCC. So that's just, so I'm not here to cause you to, if the witness is answering questions the way I was, I don't need to aggravate, I don't need to fight it. But if he doesn't cooperate with me, I know what to do. But for now, I think so far I don't have any such issue. We are very much impressed.
Thank you very much.
And may I, with respect, sir, announce the appearance of my Vanguard anytime. It's part of the team of the Legal. It was before your Vanguard has report. Thank you, sir.
The proceedings in this investigation of the events of 20th October 2020 in the Lekki Shootings most complications for the start of November 2020 at 10 a.m.
Hello, please tell me your name, please.
Okay, I'm Collins Sobia.
What's your designation?
I'm a member of the NBA and I'm a delegate for the judicial, the panel of inquiry on SARS-related disputes and issues.
All right, what are your observations of today's judicial panel inquiry?
Yeah, so my observations were quite good to a great extent. The fact that the members of the public are coming out to give tell their story about what happened with SARS, and it's quite a good observation to be made. And the fact that they are trying to resolve the Lekki shootings, which is one of the main front burner issues in this respect, and it's been a good observation so far.
All right, you raised the question to the judge, the justice. You're asking her a very pertinent question. Can you reiterate what you said to her?
Okay, so the question that I raised was about the fact that I noticed that in this particular inquiry, there is more or less no opposition because the two parties that are speaking at the moment are parties that have connected interests. The LCC.
Sir.
Good afternoon.
Please tell me your name, sir.
Shino Loremikon is my name.
Okay, sir.
I coordinate the campaign against impunity in Nigeria.
Okay. Okay, so I'd like you to tell me what your observations are on the, first petition that came out today, as well as, the LCC crew that came out to speak about what happened on the 20th
No
2020.
I think so far, so good. It has not been a bad day. It's tough, it's rough, but the hedges can still be managed. The first man that spoke, no doubt, is very emotional, and he's still being engulfed with the pains of what he has gone through in the hands of the security operatives, particularly the police. And I'm sure by the time he comes back, more calm, more confidence with the mother, the narration is trying to make will be further better understood. But you can see how degenerating it is, that already they are permanently confirming to a wheelchair, pushing somebody. How degenerating it is, that already they are permanently confirming to a wheelchair, pushing somebody from a story or two-story building. It's a very painful thing, and I don't see him laboring and not facing a remedy. He will certainly get a remedy, but the intervention of the mother will further explain what the family has gone through, and that is what the panel is all about. The intervention of the mother, or the mother coming on board, is not radically different from the celebrated Lekki case. As it is now, Lekki as a company has legal representation. The Lagos state government, who owns the land and what is on the land, also have a legal representation. None of the victims as feature, and this is the time for us, the friend of public spirited matter, to also come in. Many of us have observations about what went wrong on the 20th of October. This is the time for us to come in. We should have the trust, we should have the confidence that there is a window to speak out, and we should not allow the spirits of the young fellows to just fade away like that. They should regain their consciousness and their voice, so that interested stakeholders, the friend of public spirited matter, to also come in. Many of us have observations about what went wrong on the 20th of October. This is the time for us to come in. We should have the trust, we should have the confidence that there is a window to speak out, and we should not allow the spirits of the young fellows to just fade away like that. They should regain their consciousness and their voice, so that interested stakeholders can also join the tribunal in his task and his pending investigating task. Otherwise, you won't know exactly what happened. And you can see the response of the LCC. Light went off, we don't have control, camera can record, it can't record voice. So if people are shouting, help, 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 the camera cannot record it, only images. We won't know whether it's saying, leave me like this, I want to die. And that is why we have to be extra careful to get it right.